liberating strife. Who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, make God thy gold refined, till all success be nobleness, and ever again divine. And you know, when I was in school, we used to sing it something like this. Listen here.
Ladies and gentlemen, creator of Broad Street and publisher of Undeniable Swagger, your CEO, Kenny Katzgrau.
I think we need the volume up on that. So, I want to take you back to 1 year ago. You recall? We had this idea of like more perfect. And I think that I was like, where's more perfect? Where does that come from eventually? We, the people of the United States, and this is not necessarily, it is 4th of July, so we're integrating some themes here. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. So I really like that because it's this idea that like, it's not in order to form a perfect union, it's knowing that it's this continual drive to make it better and better and better. I also like that it goes on to establish justice to ensure domestic tranquility. The thing I liked about the intro was like showing the fireworks and the kids and the neighborhoods, because that's fundamentally what it's all about, is we're building this thing to protect something within it. So I pretty much always use that analogy of that diamond at the center, that thing that we really are. You guys know that, and you've seen this one before, that the great artists, the great sculptors kind of have this belief that the best thing is actually within, in that block of granite. The statue, the form of whatever's being created already exists. And the best version of us, whether it's us individually or Broad Street, that already exists. It's actually just the practice of removing things that are preventing us from being that. That's the way I take a look at our company. So what was our block of granite to begin with? It looked kind of like this, upscaled with AI, of course. So this is actually my basement. This is where Broad Street got started. And got my laptop, got my trusty speakers right here, which at the time was blasting Nicki Minaj, I think, and Gangnam Style. Yeah, and so this is where I made the first cold calls for Broad Street. It's where I wrote the first code for Broad Street. It all happened right here, and all I really had was this idea, very loose idea, of what this was all gonna be. I didn't really have, it wasn't clear. Sometimes you're like, I want to get to the top of a mountain, but what does the mountain look like? But I do know, it's actually kind of related to that idea of manifest destiny. This idea of the future and this vision that if we believe it enough, if we believe that we can get to that top of the mountain, with enough conviction, it is our destiny, we're going to get there. If you really believe it, it will become yours. So I didn't exactly know what the top of the mountain looked like just yet, but I did actually kind of have an idea of what I stood for, an idea of like the things that were important to me, and those actually eventually kind of became our core values. That might be a part where it's a little loud. But those core values are incredibly important, and they've always been there. So I knew that much. And I didn't actually articulate them. It wasn't until years later that me and Steve sat down and were like, what is it? What are the values that we have? Because they're pretty obvious, and we put them on the whiteboard, and they haven't really deviated much. So to get this idea of optimism, which right now in our industry is actually really important. We don't know what the future looks like. We don't know when Google's next algorithm change is coming. We don't know what AI is going to do. But we do know that we'll wait and see, and we'll adjust, and we're going to make the best of it regardless of what happens. And we can't tell the future, so we might as well decide, well, you know what, whatever happens, I'm going to make the best of that future. So we're optimists. We've always been that way. We are authentic. We're always been honest with each other, with ourselves, humble, honest and about who we are with our customers. And that's been one of those things that's really attracted people to us, I think. When we interact with our customers or we do a webinar or, I'm dressed like a lifeguard or Brian's a dancing shark, we just own that. And that attracts. When you are that version of yourself that's closest to that gem or that diamond at the center of it, that attracts people. I kind of use it. It's also kind of like the ringing of a bell, that's why I also like American Girl there. Yeah, because when you are that version of yourself, when you speak the truth, you're more truthful version of yourself, people tend to come to it. And I think that's part of the reason that we have webinars that attract 1,100 and growing people. So persistence, which may change to perseverance. We do not give up. We kind of have this unrelenting, unwavering fight for the things that we're trying to do. And it could be just like working through an issue to help a customer, but also working towards something like setting a goal and not really giving up until you get there. Because we've set goals before at this company and we have not gotten there. We got there like 6 months later because we didn't give up. We didn't forget about it and do something else. So optimism, authenticity, and persistence. That's all I really had in that basement, right? But eventually, sometimes when you start something, you know what my actual mission was with Broadsheet when I first started it? To be a billionaire. That was my mission, right? It's not a good mission. It's not a good mission. You should never have a mission like that. Eventually, a mission, if you stick with something long enough, time kind of makes some things obvious. I really started to understand what it is that Broadsheet was actually doing. So we make sure, you've heard me say this at conferences, to make sure that small businesses market with our publishers instead of Google and Facebook. In fact, the way I say this a lot of time, especially at SaaS Academy, is I say we help small news and magazine publishers kick the shit out of Facebook and Google. My name's Kenny Castro. How do you do? So that's how I normally do it. But we help our customers serve the businesses that make it possible for that publisher to serve their communities. That's what we're doing. We show our customers what's possible and that they can and they will be successful in shining the light in their community. And I think that little can and will piece, I joked about it in the webinar, but this is the chief export of Broadsheet. We show somebody that if they are focused on sharing the truth, they're focused on being a net positive, that they can do it, they will do it, and we will help them figure out how to do it. The way that we're doing that right now is in this tiny little area of ad management and local news. But I think fundamentally this is what Broadsheet is really all about. So why would we do something like that? So altruistic. Well, number one is the way that we would want to be treated. And I like being the kind of person where if I was repeated 7 billion times across the planet, the world would be better off. I'm not saying it has to be dramatically better off. I'm just saying if I can treat other people the way they want to be treated and be a net positive, and I don't have to do anything crazy. All I have to do is just be a relatively decent person. If you repeated Kenny Katzrau's across the room, or you repeated Tommy Cleary's, or Ryan Casano's, or Jake's, or Steve's, or Brian's, or Amanda's, or anyone else listening in, if you repeated that 7 billion times, would the world be better, or would it be worse? I'm thankful to say today that I think I work with a team where every single person, if repeated 7 billion times, would leave the world better off. So we leave the world better than we found it. We have fun, we get to learn, and we get to work with people that we like, people that we can learn from. people that can help us grow. And because of that, communities across the world are going to benefit. I have gotten emails, one of my favorite emails ever. Someone said, I do not know if I would be in business if it wasn't for you guys. And this was a publisher in the area of Seattle with a coverage area of about 300,000 people. The only one shining their light, our little ad tech company having that kind of impact. I was thinking about it on a given day, we probably impact millions of people in some way. It's crazy. We're a team of like 16. So what is our vision? Where are we going? So we had this vision. This is kind of an intermediate vision. $50 million a year company. I think it could be $1 billion a year company. I really do. A beacon in our industry, especially an industry where it seems like it's there aren't always the most positive people, especially when they're talking about the future. To be a beacon, that light, and say that's what we're going to follow. To be a fun and rewarding ride for the team, I want to make sure that everybody on this team has a blast working at Broad Street. That if for some reason you're not working at Broad Street in the future, you look back and say, oh man, that was an amazing time. I love that. It's the best place I ever worked. That's the kind of place that we're trying to build here. And importantly, nearly everyone in local news publishing knows and uses Broad Street in some way. No matter where you are in the world, there's a magazine or news publisher, they have heard about Broad Street, most likely. So let's talk about what we did in Q2. These were our objectives in the last quarter to kick it off. We said we're actually going to need an engineering team. And in fact, by the end of this year, for this to be true, we actually need to have an engineer at least on the team, that we need to secure trials with at least some of these big customers. This is absolutely critical. We got to do this quarter. That we need to start building a lead generation tool that will be free and available for publishers everywhere, so that they're using our technology even if they aren't paying us. And we also need to find a path to grow our relationship with customers and expand their accounts. And we have to do this in 90 days, all while we maintain our momentum. That's a big ask. That's a lot of shit to do. I know it's only 4 bullet points, but you're like, oh man, who in the world could achieve something like this? So let's talk about the highlights from Q2. All right. There were a lot of them. I ran out of space. It just goes down, but our presentation software doesn't actually accommodate all of that text yet. So we're just gonna have to stop at the one that got clipped. First of all, we made 2 key engineering hires. All right, we brought Pedro and Pat onto the team. We secured trials with, I think it's 5 Dreamer prospects, right? TJ can correct us. Maybe more, maybe 6, maybe 4. TJ scrambling for the unmute button. Whatever.
He said he thinks we're at 6.
All right, TJ's, all right, I undershot. we're at 6. We helped them close at least 4 local authority sales that I know of, right? 5 for free. We helped them make a sale they wouldn't have otherwise. 6 to 7. These highlights are getting better as we're going in real time. So we closed our biggest customer ever this quarter, biggest customer by 2x. We tied for the most accounts closed in a single week. We had possibly, Tommy contends that it is, the best sales quarter ever. Last year, every sales quarter, I was like, it was the best sales quarter ever. And here we are talking about it again. We built Daybreak, which is a lead generation tool that we've been running on Red Bank Green, has yielded 8 leads for Red Bank Green this month alone. We hoped that it'd be 1 to 2 a month, and we got 8. It started to rain in the past week. We actually we hosted, and you're getting a little bit of the remnants of it, the best and most creative record-breaking webinar that we've ever hosted. We had over 1,100 people registered, and I think it set the standard for, well, it set an unobtainable standard for people in the industry. Because if you wanted to replicate what we did, first of all, you'd have to find someone willing to be a dancing shark. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But if you wanted to replicate what we did, you would need the time, you would need the insight, you would need the 10 years of history that took us to work up to that to refine and get better and better and better. You'd also need the software that made it all possible. You're kind of witnessing right now a presentation that's made possible by software that we built in-house at Broad Street. So it's a little bit of an advantage for us. So we booked the most speaking engagements that we ever have over the course of the year, including 2 international, and this includes virtual too. 2 international speaking engagements, one in Australia, another in Ottawa, which I didn't even go to. DJ filled in. My flight was canceled. I called up the organizer and said, I'm not coming. Didn't exactly happen like that. But and then Adam went to North Dakota to clean up and present, and got everyone in North Dakota to fall in love with them. So set new standards. We set new standards in customer experience and success. Won another national headliner award for Red Bank Green, and that is 100% on Brian's part because I didn't do anything for that. Red Bank Boogie. And we launched our mastermind coaching with Lariel and Johnny. We did the first iterations yesterday, and it was the first time that I sat in. I said, this is it. I didn't come out with any questions. I was like, Lariel is better than me at this. Yes, thank God. Then I went to Johnny and I was talking, and then I just asked Johnny a question and let him talk. And I was like, oh my God, Johnny is better than me at this. Thank God. We have a killer coaching cadence for our customers. I'm going to talk about that too. So in order to make this all possible, takes a team. If you want to do anything important or big, it takes more than just one person to do it all, right? It takes a whole team of people who are locked in. So let's talk about some of the people who help make that happen. This is where the audio might be a little effed. All right, cool. First of all, and it's all instrumental, so you're just going to have to guess what songs we're playing here. So first of all, showing the way to a better day, we got Caitlin. All right, one of the things Caitlin did, we are all very lucky to work with each other, right? I'd say I'm lucky to have the team that we have, but it's more important that we're all very lucky to work with each other because we are all
Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on, go play. Hey
all right.
now, you're
How long has it been?
Get the show on.
All right, we got time. All right. So let's talk a little bit about Q3. What's coming up? All right. So in the same way that we had objectives for Q2, we got objectives for Q3. All right. And they're extremely important, although they just kind of seem pretty high level. So one is that we need to secure at least one Daybreak channel partner that is actively referring us customers. So Daybreak is our lead generation tool. I want publishers, it's free, and it generated 8 leads for Red Bank Green this month. I want publishers around the world using this thing. It says powered by Broad Street or Daybreak by Broad Street at the bottom. I think it's going to refer customers to our customers, and I think it's also going to refer customers to us. It'll also make sure that our technology is more well known and that more people come to us. Like I said, we can have a lot of Ryans, right? But Ryans scale linearly. Daybreak has the ability to scale much faster than that. So it's actually going to create a situation where Ryan, Adam, and TJ and Lori are getting inbound, right? People coming to us. Next thing is that we need 2 to 3 proposals among dreamers out. Or we'd like to get a dreamer closed, see what we can do there. Because if we can do that, we've almost satisfied some core criteria for the year, which is basically establish possibility. One of the things that we did and we really leaned into in the proposal for New Jersey Hills is we leaned into possible, repeatable, inevitable. We're going to show their sales team that they can make a sale with something like local authority, that not only can they do it once, they can repeat it. And then if they can repeat it, then getting to their goals is going to be inevitable. But it works the same way for us. Then we can repeat it all throughout next year. Next, we need to build upsells into the Broad Street dashboard, right? We've experimented a little bit with white labeling and local authority, but I think there are ways that we can, and we planned it out last quarter, more effectively create situations where users can switch on premium products This is all, I'm not going to go too far into it, but it's all with a goal of 100% NRR. And what that means is that any SaaS company, we just recently hit 600 accounts, which, you know, could have one or more publications. That's a big milestone, right? But naturally, any company is going to have some level of churn. That's the number of users that leaves every month. Sometimes they go out of business. Sometimes, you know, a new marketing person comes on, they decide to do something else. Broadsheet's churn is incredibly low. It's about 1.5%, somewhere in there. But NRR means that we are growing our existing accounts at a rate that actually essentially cancels out churn. So we want to get our NRR to, that means you could sell no new accounts. And if your NRR is greater than 100%, your company still grows. And all of the best SaaS companies in the world have NRR of anywhere between 110 and 120%. We are also going to build our first ever engineering roadmap, right? And we have to do all of this while maintaining our momentum. All that shit, when we went over those highlights, the first 4 were the things we set out to do. The next 20 were things that were just existing momentum keeping us going. That's crazy. So we did the 4 big things, and then the rest of that shit just happened. We just happened to be popping off great webinars, right? So, we're going to do this while adhering to our favorite principles, right? These things kind of emerged somewhat related to core values, but there's one, the reason I put it in this part of the presentation is because of one of them right here. So in marketing, we remind people of what they already know, right? The most important things that any of us could know are all things that are obvious that we kind of already know. One of the things I talk about, you talk about the Lyft webinar that attracted so many people to it. Talk about that bell that rings out. Lyft is all about the golden rule. It's just treating other people the way that you would want to be treated. The Media Kits webinar, or not the Media Kits webinar, the pricing and packaging webinar was all about giving more than you get, right? These are fundamental things that have been entirely lost. How is it that somebody could go into a sales meeting and forget that it's not about them, it's about the person on the other side of the table? If I said, hey, run the sales meeting just like you were on the other side of the table, and they would say, oh yeah, that's so obvious. But it's funny how important, really important and true things get lost. And that happens all of the time. And that's okay. It's okay for that to get lost, because as long as you are reminded in some way, and I like to remind our customers of what they already know. Taking our customers to where they want to go. On the sales side, that's what our team does. We understand where are they today and where do they want to go, and are we a solution that can help them get there? That's the only way to do sales. Take them to where they want to go. Be the way to a better day. And that any given day, there's so much shit going on. There's, you know, anyone who's run a business knows that there's always a fire breaking out. There's all that. And when people come to customer support, when I worked at a grocery store, usually if somebody comes to the front desk, it's not to tell me I'm doing a great job. Maybe like once in every, usually there's something on their mind and a problem they're trying to get solved. Tiffany, Caitlin, June, they are the way to a better day. That people, after talking with Tiffany and June, are having a better day than they were before coming to them. It's one of our principles. And make work feel a bit like play. So I want anybody using BroadStreet to feel like they're having fun, that it's effortless, because if you can do important work and it feels effortless, you're going to get to anywhere that you want to go. So if you notice, they all rhyme, and I like that. So make work feel a bit like play. This is something that BroadStreet is fun to use and it blows people away, but that doesn't mean as time goes on, we have to continually refine and improve that product, right? So what can we do to continue to refine that gem and get closer to that underlying perfect structure? So one of the things that we have to our advantage is that BroadStreet is really one of the only companies that is publisher first. We always put the publisher first. We're not one of the programmatic companies that, you know, say that they're publisher first, but they're actually taking a big chunk out of the income from the revenue from the publisher. You know, I think statistics show that about 1/6 of the money that an advertiser pays to programmatic networks actually makes it to the publisher. 1/6. So we are publisher first. Sell your inventory. We also have the coaching, right? So we got Lariel and Johnny. We've done this through webinars, we've done it through one-off calls, but now we have an established cadence of coaching to help our customers be successful. And the last part is that we have the platform. Nobody else has these three things. This is our competitive advantage and what makes BroadStreet special. But we really need to polish up that platform. So I actually took a week over the last quarter and I went into the woods. I went deep into the woods, right? I set up my laptop. And occasionally, like a jogger would run behind me because I wasn't that far into the woods, actually. And it's New Jersey, like you're not going to get away from people. But like I'm sitting out there, slapping mosquitoes, trying to type, and I was like, this sounded so much better than it actually was. But I was typing up a product vision, right? And I said, Kenny, think, just like you did with the quarterly planning. Let's think 3 years into the future. I'm interviewing a BroadStreet user 3 years into the future. What are they saying? Let me just start with the feeling, and then maybe I'll backtrack my way to the product. So I said the year is 2028, and a customer is asked how they feel about BroadStreet. You can just imagine it's like a testimonial video where Brian's sitting there with his camera, and they're just talking completely just, caught off, off guard, and like they're just, and this is what came to me. I don't even know how much sense it makes, but this person, it was a she, said, it feels like a world of possibility where I look and feel like a creative genius effortlessly. My clients are impressed by how quick and professional I can be. They stay with me because I deliver service that is above and beyond. BroadStreet is my secret weapon. And I'm like, wow, to help our publishers and our sales reps feel like a creative genius, like everything is so effortless, that BroadStreet is their secret weapon. And they're like, oh man, I hope my competitors never hear of this thing. Some of this is probably true today, but I was like, man, what does BroadStreet need to be in order for that to be true? So then I said, well, how about maybe what I'll do is like, I'll write a little bit of a narrative, right? So let me just imagine that two publishers are emailing each other. What would a publisher say about BroadStreet? So maybe it kicks off and it says something like, hey, I hope things are going well on your end. I've been meaning to tell you, we've been in a much better groove with ad sales lately. Basically, we started working with BroadStreet and I'm actually blown away by how much I was missing. The formats, the reporting, the things that it does automatically, we look insanely polished. And for the first time in a while, I'm actually having fun with the business. I honestly don't know if I'd want to keep doing this without it. Here's an example of something that happened the other day. I've got their lead gen form on my site. It's called Daybreak. And at least once a week, a potential advertiser fills it out. So we're going to see some very rough concepts of what a future BroadStreet might look like. Because we're in a dream state right now. Things are they're weird, right? Soon after, we get an email. It's got their information and way more for my sales team. And you can see that not only did we pull in their email address, which is what they filled out, but we did a little background research for them. We found out a little snapshot about the company, what their core services are. We pulled in some of their social posts. And we also got some little calls to action here. Hey, maybe get a meeting. Maybe if you click that button, it opens up a draft to get a meeting with the advertiser right there. Just one click, boom, we got a draft. Hey, create some ad ideas. Maybe put together a spec for these guys instantly. Just one click, create a spec. Strategize with Alva. Hey, what are some of the things that I should ask them during a sales meeting? So what are some of the things that we can do that no other lead gen tool on the planet would do? So we get that email and it's got a lot of info for their sales team. But while it's doing that, it sends an email to them with a questionnaire that helps them figure out how we can help them. This is based on an actual questionnaire I use at Red Bank Green. It's called 7 Questions That Might Help Us Do a Great Job for You. Maybe they relabel it. Maybe it's exactly this. I don't know. But what we're doing is asking them, what are some of the things that you do that's unique or special or different from your competitors? What are some things that people might mistake about you before working with you? Famously, Adam at Triumph said, a lot of people don't know that we have a full menu and we serve food. They have this old-fashioned idea of what a brewery is, that it's just tastings. Something like that. What's your vision for the next few years if everything went exactly as you'd hoped? So a publisher could obviously customize these, but then what are we doing with all of this? All the while, it's building a profile for them in our BroadStreet account. So we're starting to collect all of their data, everything that we can find, including some of their social media. And from there, it gets pretty wild. We can chat with the advertiser based on everything they have online. We can generate custom outreach templates, sales conversation game plans, campaign ideas, or ask it to write branded content. So imagine that you build up this history with an advertiser and then you can chat with it, just like you can chat with Alva. And it could write the sponsor content for you. It could give you some ideas of what to promote in their next campaign. We can build spec ads instantly. So they can pick one that we've already got. We can let Alva decide what to build for them. We can drop in a URL of theirs and we'll build a spec ad. And we can edit all of the details and make it polished. So one of the things that's actually not present here is that each of the individual fields, not only are they grouped better than they are right now, but there were little AI icons. So it's just like, let Alva suggest the field name or the field description. So where can we integrate some AI to make all of this more magical? And if we're stuck or need help, AI helps move it along, right? So you can chat with it, you can ask it to make the photo bigger, make the headlines bigger, some of the stuff that Steve was working on before. You can see some of those AI icons. The ads have lead generation and feedback built in. So if you click on it, depending on the advertiser, may not make as much sense for Surf Taco, but Chris Havens or Kyle Reed, let's bring that lead generation to the front end. Let's capture that. Because if you can capture a lead for an advertiser, they're going to stay with you. Because one of the big things that we're focused on is retention. So maybe the most important part are the features for retention. During the campaign, Broadsheet automatically suggests copy changes and variations to keep it fresh and the performance high. So imagine having an ad and just being able to regenerate it until you find something that you like. Because keeping a campaign fresh is one of the hardest things to do, not just for the advertiser because they're busy, but for the publisher too and the sales team. Just being able to regenerate it and shuffle it up is going to get a bigger click-through rate. We've mapped this out. Every single time a campaign is updated, we get a spike in click-through rates, sometimes up to 10 or 20 times. Imagine how nice it would be if that was just a single button. And it sends all of my clients the best news throughout the campaign like an amazing account manager. And it makes it so they can renew with one click. So toward the end of the campaign, hey, do you want to keep this going? Not making it so the sales team has to go back and restart that conversation. Making it so with one click they can renew. And calling out some of the best news, kind of like a Spotify wrap at the end of a campaign. There is just no going back to Google Ad Manager. This is it, and I seriously hope Broadsheet is around for a very long time. So this is all just one more step in the direction of becoming the polished, amazing company that we are destined to be. No doubt. It is true. Is there any doubt in my voice whatsoever? This is where we're headed. Absolute conviction. And we're doing all of this because I have this sincere belief that, like great American statesman Ben Franklin, that we can do very well. We can build a very profitable, a prosperous company. And we can do good for the world at the same time. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. That we can become prosperous and we can do wonderful things for the world around us at the same time. So Ben Franklin said, do well by doing good. Homie was actually also a printer and a newsman. Long live local news. Everyone, over the weekend, never forget one of the most important things. I tend to forget it because important things that we should know, we can occasionally forget. To have fun, right? Because I have a ton of fun with Broadsheet, and sometimes I forget that when I'm in the trenches and I'm working on hard shit and staying up late and doing stuff. But when I look back, I'm like, oh shit, what a blast. So everyone have a wonderful 4th of July weekend. Thank you for attending the Broadsheet Q3 2025 State of the Company meeting.
Well done, Tammy.